Lisa.
Okay, so you want to give her the...
Yes.
We can just pay the CFO 5,000?
Yeah. Right.
Oh, no, that's fine.
Yeah,
I just,
right.
I wasn't sure which way.
Really working a lot.
Oh, no, I realize that, but
Right.
my whole thing was, I'm looking at it going, okay,
I almost look like I know
I
what
want to go...
I quite don't. I don't.
Right. Right.
Roll my fingers off.
Apparently, you need to sign this too.
Okay. What is that? That's for the oath thing too, or no?
No,
Something
it's-
else?
That to 20.
Okay.
My certification, they took that.
Window.
Oh, okay.
That was the state
Yeah, me too.
seminar. and they took it.
Yep.
Okay.
I still need your
Signature, that's.
your sexual harassment.
Oh, yeah,
thing
yeah,
and
right.
your contact information.
Yes.
Yeah, I called Patty because I was concerned about that. How do you do that?
It's only if you turn
I
the...
explained it to him. I didn't know if you included the land.
All right, so we're gonna get started.
Copy.
We'll get started because Frank Tadaro said he's running late, so if everybody would just stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, I don't have any public hearings today. Can we have the roll call, please?
Member Gazzani,
Here.
Kevin Lee Master,
Here,
David Reno,
Here.
Lynn Ruda,
Here.
Frank Tadaro,
He's
Chair.
he's running late. He called me. He said he'd be about 10 minutes late.
okay,
And here.
okay.
Okay. All right, so,
No, I just,
all right, can I get somebody to make a motion to accept the minutes of the previous meeting?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you.
Okay, motion by Member Reno, seconded by Member Ruda. Can we have the roll, please?
Member Gazzani,
Here, yes.
Member Lee Master,
yes.
Member Reno,
Yes.
Member Ruda,
Yes.
Member Tadaro, and Chair Fadoli.
Yes. Okay, this I have a question on the presentation of the financial statements. Do we have,
I didn't see it.
I don't believe we have this report yet, correct?
No, we don't have the one.
So we don't have, okay,
Yeah, really yet, so at the meeting next month, hopefully we'll be able to approve both January's and February's.
okay, all right. So,
But we didn't do December's either.
Okay, and December's,
Yeah.
right?
And we have to sign off on the checking account and the say, whatever, and the other account too, when that happens. You have to get new signatures and all
yes,
that.
I have to contact Chase to get the signatures. Ultimately, I guess I'll open up with this discussion then too. Well, let's see, hold on a minute. I don't want to jump ahead here. Okay. All right, we'll discuss that in a bit. I did speak with somebody today to take the CFO position, so I think he's going to take, I'm going to say right at this point, he's going to take it. It is Mike Stegmeyer from the Village of Lancaster. I spoke with him and Dave Brown. I asked Lynn Ruda to reach out to him, and she did, and then I talked to him, and I had a conference call with him and Dave Brown this morning about 11:45, and he has indicated that he wants to take it. What we need to discuss is, and Jennifer, this is probably something for you. I suggested, in the past, we always had intermunicipal agreements with the town to pay the town for somebody that's working for the town and the IDA, because we don't have a payroll, obviously, we don't have payroll service here. So we would like to, and Lynn is going to talk with her board in the village on Monday at their meeting to get their approval on this so that we can pay him through like the same method where we pay the village.
So he wouldn't be a stipend employee, he'd receive a paycheck.
Well, he would receive a paycheck from the village for his time here, but we'll reimburse the village.
And we'd be looking for that intermunicipal agreement between the LIDA and the Village of Lancaster. So I don't know how quickly something like that could be drafted
As soon
and.
as I have the details.
Great.
Okay,
Work with the village.
Sure.
okay. Is everybody okay with that? Okay.
I receive the details and I'll happily put it together. And if we need to, the board could have a special meeting to approve that, so we can put this person in place right away, provided that you can get a quorum together.
I think that would be wise.
We can get a
I
call.
think so too.
We can do that.
Yeah, it's
Say
gotta
say
get
that
done.
again, I'm sorry, Jennifer, I was reading something.
If this person can come to terms, and the village board approves the agreement, I would suggest that the Lancaster IDA board have a special meeting
Yeah,
to approve that, just to get the person in place right away.
Okay.
Instead of waiting for your
and
next
we need
meeting.
how many members to do that? 5? 4?
Four, I think
Four
four.
for a quorum? 4, okay. All right, yeah, I'm okay with that. I'll
It
make,
would probably be a 5-minute
Yeah.
Yeah.
meeting, but it's probably something that is important to.
yes, we do need to get that resolved right away, because we need to start working on those Paris reports, and that's due March 30th, I believe. So we have to, I know that Drescher and Malecki is already working on them, I believe. Mike Stegmeyer, the gentleman that is going to take the CFO position, he has not worked with the Paris system, he said, but he is familiar with it. So he said it shouldn't be a problem for him to jump right in and work with it, work with our
And I
auditors.
have no doubt if he has troubles, I'm sure he can call any other local IDA and they would.
Okay, and also Dave Brown has agreed to help and come on as a consultant, right? So, and this, he will he'll work with Mike and be available for him for questions or anything like that, so Dave has agreed.
You know, after doing this for 42 years, if he has any questions, he can just reach out to me also.
Okay, all right, thanks,
And we can
Paul.
help him tell him, I can actually tell him what the other IDAs do too.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So, old business, we have to appoint assistant secretary and assistant treasurer, optional. Do we need to appoint, we don't need to appoint those?
They are in the bylaws, so they should be appointed. They both positions can be filled by non-members.
Okay,
On the IDA website, the CFO was also the assistant secretary.
okay. Do we want to appoint Mike before he's?
Well, I think that if I'm the secretary, it would be fine to have him as the assistant secretary.
The
Okay,
assistant secretary is also someone who can sign closing documents.
okay. All right, and if he's the CFO, that will just work out fine anyways then? Okay. So-
But the CFO cannot hold any other position.
Oh,
Right, it has to be an independent person.
okay. That can't be me either, can it?
No, it shouldn't be. No, because you're.
I have to sign, right.
In the past, the attorney's been appointed as the assistant secretary as an emergency backup.
So
Okay.
it can't be the CFO?
No, the CFO has to be independent.
Okay, so were you appointed,
Wednesday.
Point, John.
I think
Jennifer, were you appointed before to this?
years ago, yes.
Okay, so can we do that? If everybody's okay with that, can we?
Motion to appoint or term for the position of
All
assistant
right.
Well, yeah,
secretary?
but if we do that, aren't we kind of bypassing our own selves?
What do you mean?
Well, we can't though, she said.
No, I'm just saying,
Oh.
can't we find somebody else to do it?
Oh,
But
yeah.
if there's someone else that would like to do it,
That,
absolutely.
you're making a jump decision, why don't we, next
Somebody-
meeting, we can figure it out. I just would rather
Yeah, doesn't
find out
matter.
if somebody wants to take that position there and work with them.
What would their role entail?
Sometimes it's signing closing documents. If something comes up at the closing, if I were the assistant secretary, something ministerial, as your attorney, I wouldn't ever put myself in a conflict of interest position. If you're not here,
Right.
the assistant secretary would step in and take over your role.
Well, Frank's not here yet, okay? So we don't know if Frank would be willing to take that job.
But he's already your
He
treasurer.
can't, right.
He
So
can't do
we're
it.
saying no other officer
So we just need to
on
find-
board can
right.
hold that
Well,
job.
it's, I mean, I don't mind, explain that way, she's basically, yeah, and then she's,
And it would make
Right.
sense because you're
in
already
an, in an
the
emergency, she
situation.
can do it.
Right.
Okay.
I did have
I
a
got no
motion.
problem with that.
Yeah, that's all. So let's just, okay, go ahead. You want to make a motion to appoint
Yeah.
then? Okay, I'll second that. Lisa, please, on the roll.
Grant Katsani,
Yes.
Kevin Lee Master,
Yes,
David Reno,
Yes.
Lynn Ruda,
Yes.
Frank's not here, Chair Fadoli.
Yes. I was just informed by Diane, she came in, that Jennifer needs to speak into a microphone, because apparently, yeah, so,
May I come sit over there?
yes. Yeah, we have an extra seat, so
Thank you.
someone left at the last meeting abruptly. I guess that was recorded too, huh?
Where you going?
This is great. Sorry, couldn't help myself, that's gonna be the official business.
Okay, either cannot.
Right now, they're doing the assistant treasurer.
Okay.
Okay, so we have to adopt the salary then for
Did
the
we do
chief
the
financial
treasurer?
We
officer?
didn't do the assistant treasurer. Is there anyone interested, that, oftentimes that position remains unfilled, but it is a position that you can.
Oh, the assistant I'm sorry, okay, just an
It is an
appoint.
optional position
Okay,
pursuant to your bylaws.
okay, so if we don't have to appoint right now, we can just,
Because I put the bag.
okay.
Frank did our walk in.
Frank, nice of you to join us.
How you doing, Frankie?
Hold on for me.
Nice to see your smiling face.
How you doing, Frank?
Thanks, Jim. Hello, everybody.
Low.
Okay, so now we have to adopt the salaries for the chief financial officer, administrator, secretary, and records management, pilot billers for county. In the past, the previous one was what, 5,000 for the CFO?
I believe it was,
Salaries
yeah.
budgeted for 7,500.
Yeah, right, but that, I think that was combined, I think, or isn't it total combined?
No, I'm not sure about the second line, because there's a second line under there
Right.
for 1,800. I don't know if we're paying the taxes on that money that they're making. That was something I was gonna try to get clarified from somebody, but I believe it was 5,000.
Right,
And then there was underneath that line was
Right, there's that
1,800
yeah.
for expenses and something else.
Who is that for? Who are you talking about?
for the CFO?
CFO
The
position.
2022 adopted budget is the $7,500 budget line.
Yeah, that was the line that they gave it, but they only paid out 5,000.
They weren't-
I mean, we considered it anything we want.
Okay, so you would just leave it at 7,500 for now, so that, I mean, we have the money allocated, and then we don't necessarily have to spend it.
Well, that's what you're gonna be doing here, is setting her
Oh,
salary.
setting the salary, right, I'm sorry.
I mean, we can give her more, we can go up to 7,500.
Was
Right.
that conversation had?
We did not have a conversation because we haven't determined yet if this person's going to do the pilots or not, and if we should pay that separately, or if we're gonna continue to pay Dave Brown to do it in the future.
Which is also a separate
Right.
budget line.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so,
there was another budget line.
okay, so any input on that, Frank? You wanna, should we leave it at 7,500?
How long has it been like that?
Has past practice, was it only 2021 that the $5,000 was the stipend, or is it always over budgeted?
I can only speak to last year.
Okay.
I wasn't here before then.
Okay,
I mean, why not just keep it as it is?
To
right.
me, it doesn't make sense to spend less than what was budgeted for a salary line. It's not like
No.
there's gonna be unanticipated costs, so if it was budgeted for a certain number, I would expect
Well, that's the
that.
way it was explained to me, that's why I brought it up, but that was the max.
So if we only paid out 5,000, then why don't we set it at 5,000?
You can set it anywhere you want.
I guess you'd be saving a little bit on it for the month of January and
Right,
some of February.
Right, so, yeah, if we're not spending the money, then let's just set it at 5,000, if everybody's okay with that? Yeah? Yes?
I think it's gonna be your CFO who should be okay with it.
Right. Ultimately, yes, so should we skip over this for now then, so we can talk?
Can table it?
We can table this, and then when you have the
Yeah,
person
because maybe we should
lined
talk to
up,
him,
we could.
yeah, because we really didn't get into salary today, because he didn't really, we
Right.
didn't kind of know how that was gonna play out, so we didn't really
Right.
discuss any payments, so we can table that, and then we'll handle it on the next meeting.
Or special
Or
meeting.
special meeting,
But
yes.
I would expect that Monday, after Monday's meeting, and that is resolved.
Yeah.
Shortly after Tuesday, we would get together and have.
Yes, and we just need what, we'll have to just do a legal notice, and then maybe we can have an emergency meeting next week sometime.
Right.
and do
Generally,
that.
you need to give 72 hours meeting.
Right. Okay,
Notice of your
70
special
okay.
meetings.
So after your meeting, Lynn, I guess once you know that, maybe just shoot me a text or something, and then we'll post it, and we'll do it whatever,
Yep, I
Thursday
can
or
help
Friday
with that.
next week.
I think we could still schedule the meeting now.
Right, and you could always cancel it if the person doesn't accept.
Schedule it for Thursday?
Thursday? Thursday, let me see, I know I gotta go to Rochester Thursday, next week.
Phone's over there.
I'll work around yours. We get four of us
I
together.
was gonna say,
I have to be in Rochester by like 9:45, and then I'm just going up there for service, and I have a meeting at 3 o'clock when I get back. So if we do it, it would have to be like 2 o'clock.
Perfect.
2 o'clock,
Thursday at 2 PM?
Thursday at 2?
Right here?
Yes. All right, let me just put it in here, 2 o'clock.
I won't be able to attend.
Is there a certain quorum?
4.
Yeah, we need 4. Can you be here, Frank?
It's Thursday.
Oh, Thursday, you got committee, or you got?
I have session.
2, 3,
You have session?
4? There's 4.
4 of us can be, you can be here, Kevin?
But yeah, I can be here.
Okay.
It's just,
It might be on the line for me.
All right.
as long as we can agree on
Two.
the money amounts, you know, if we can kind of get an idea now, so everybody knows what's coming. So 5,000 would.
I think that's right around, yeah, I think
Right
that's
around
where we're
go
gonna
there
be.
for
Yes, then like I said, I'll discuss
that
it with Mike, and then we'll go from there, and if there's any discrepancies, then I'll let you know, or we can discuss it.
Right, and I'll
at the
just need the
meeting.
final details to put together a resolution and an intermunicipal.
Okay.
Is that going to be put on at that meeting too, the agreement and everything? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Good, okay. Then we have to set, now administrative secretary, the salary. Lisa and I spoke about this, I'm gonna open this up for discussion here. Lisa's done a lot of work for us this past couple of weeks. She's done a lot more stuff than would be expected of her. I don't know what I don't have the budget. What's the current salary for it?
It's the same thing, 7,500.
7,500.
It was paid, I believe, 5,000, but we, like I said, we can go up to 7,500.
Right,
To table.
And I do think we probably should raise it considering the
yeah,
extra work she's
right.
done.
I'm gonna propose that we pay her the 7,500.
I agree with that.
Do I need to make a motion for that?
Second that?
We need to go back and make a motion to table the CFO
Okay, gotcha.
appointment and
Okay.
salary.
All right, so we're gonna table, I'll make a motion to table the salary for the CFO. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Second by member Tadaro. Lisa, please on the roll.
Member Gazzani?
Yes.
Member Lee Master?
Yes.
Member Reno?
Yes.
Member Ruda?
Yes.
Member Tadaro?
Yes.
Chair Fedoli?
Yes,
Now we need a motion to set the special meeting for Thursday,
okay. I'll make a motion to set the special meeting for Thursday, the 17th at 2 PM
at this location
at Lancaster Town Hall.
for the.
Seconded by member Reno, and then Lisa, please on the roll.
Member Gazzani?
Yes.
Member Lee Master?
Yes.
Member Reno?
Yes.
Member Ruda?
Yes.
Member Tadaro?
Yes.
Chair Fedoli?
Yes. Okay, now we can move on.
Yes, sorry.
Thanks, Jennifer, for keeping us in line procedurally. So now we set the salary. I'm going to make a motion that we set the salary to $7,500 for the administrative secretary. Can I get a second, please?
Second.
Second by member Lee Master. Lisa, please on the roll.
Member Gazzani?
Yes.
Member Lee Master?
Yes.
Member Reno?
Yes.
Member Ruda?
Yes.
Member Tadaro?
Yes.
And Chair Fedoli?
Yes. Okay, so now the pilot billers, that was what we just had Dave Brown do for us. So I think what we probably should table, well, can we pay him for the job he's done without setting this?
Well, we should do a motion then to confirm that he did the job and whatever payment he's going to
Okay,
get.
only because I don't know, going forward, we don't know yet if this is going to be a job that's going to be handled the way we did it this last time. It was kind of, piecemeal, so to speak. And when we put this together, we tried getting Amherst IDA, Clarence IDA, nobody could help us with this, and finally, Lisa was pulling her hair out, and we were going back and forth, and ultimately, Lisa emailed the file to Dave Brown, and he was able to figure it out. So what we need to do, like I said, we have to decide going forward if this is the process that we want to use, or if this is something that the CFO is going to do going forward. And the only reason I say it's not urgent right now, because the next pilot billing is for the village, which is June, right? So it doesn't necessarily have to be decided right now.
As long as he's not looking to get paid for what he's done to date,
Who's that?
Mr. Brown.
Okay, so then we do need to set that then. Okay,
At least confirm payment for the work he's already completed.
okay, so we do have to, okay, that's basically what my question was. So we do have to confirm, okay. I spoke with Dave Brown, and he is requesting $3,500 to do for his services.
For the year?
No, for the pilot billing.
For the year?
Yes, well, that's for what he just did.
But there's the school billing too, isn't there? Or we don't do that?
There's 3 rounds
School
of
does their
billing.
own.
Right, that's what I'm saying, but he was requesting that for what he did now.
So the budget line is $6,000. A third of the work has been done, and he's expecting more than half.
Yeah,
30,
so,
and that's one of 3 jobs that he did.
well, yes, right. So we may have to, can we amend the budget?
Sure.
At some point in the future, we may have to amend the budget.
So we're in this predicament because we lost our CFO the
Well,
last minute.
And
You know-
Dave Brown was the only one that could figure the books out, I
Yeah,
take it.
I mean, we
correct?
tried every other-
So we're kind of backed up against the wall here. The
Yeah.
guy did do the work.
Yeah.
And we didn't ask how much he wanted.
Right.
But we
So-
got the money out there.
Ask how much.
Yeah.
Pardon?
We didn't have time to ask.
I
Right,
would-
well, yeah, because they were already 2 weeks late by the time we got them out, they were already 2 weeks late.
So this is a sad,
You're just kind of behind the eight ball.
it's a sad situation that we got.
Yeah, unfortunately, right, but that's the situation we were, that's the hand we were dealt.
As we rebuild so it doesn't happen again.
Right, so ultimately,
Yeah.
it's
As we transition.
As a point of clarification, I believe the schools do their own pilot billing.
correct. But we do something for them, correct? We do,
You,
what do? We just send it to them and they,
I think you just send them, the assessor
okay.
sends them the
Right.
calculation.
So technically, half the work's done.
Right.
Right, because the school, they do their own.
Yep, so I'm
Well,
at,
I was gonna say, I agree with if he was expecting that amount and he's already done the work.
Yeah, right,
we're
so.
behind the 8 ball here. So.
Yeah, and then obviously we'll have to decide going forward what we want to do, if we want to keep having him do it, if it's something that, the CFO is going to take over. It's, we can decide that.
I think once we get by Monday's meeting, that CFO position should be cleared up for us.
Yeah.
We should pay Mr. Brown the money.
Right.
We're in
Yeah.
a tight spot. That man should be paid. So I would make a motion that we address that in the budget.
Okay.
It should be noted that the school, this person who does the pilot billing for the school, whenever there's a more or less a little bit of lateness in the pilot, she calls me and I go after the company then, and therefore we help them collect their pilot payments.
Okay, but it's not a function of ours,
No, it's
correct?
not.
It's nothing, right?
No, it's not.
nothing-
It's just a courtesy by me to do that,
Right,
because I know who the people are.
okay,
So we're not appointing Dave as co-biller, we're just doing a motion to pay him?
to pay him for now, right.
Okay.
And I guess at this point, we should, well, hold on, let's get that out of the way. So you want to make a motion to pay him?
Well, I want to address the budget, okay? We're going to have to raise the budget if we're going to pay him and still have a budget left to pay the rest.
No, if we only do it twice a year, the budget is 7,500. So we're doing 3,500, we still have 4,000 left.
Yeah, but she did work on it too, as a biller.
Right.
He didn't do all of it. She should get something because she's working on those too. It's over and
Okay.
above her secretarial.
Okay.
That's why that number was split. Last budget, it was split between the CFO
Right.
and Cindy.
Okay,
So, because one was doing part of it and the other one was doing part of it. So
Okay.
Dave's doing part of it, you're doing the actual billing,
Yeah, I actually get the payments in and log them in.
right,
so she's doing part of it too. So that's where the money discrepancies are.
okay. Now, I understand that the village, though, is a lot less work. I'm just saying, I spoke to Dave, right.
Because there's
only-
fewer projects
Right, there's
in the
only a
villages.
few in there, and it's certainly not gonna cost us as much to do the village as it is to do the town.
Right.
So,
And you have 2 villages, Lancaster and Depew.
right, but from what David explained to me, that the village billing is a lot less. It's significantly less work than the town.
To me, the decision that needs to be made is to pay Dave Brown for what he's done, and
Yeah.
then because nothing is done until June, we have time to figure out if a
Yeah.
budget line needs to be amended or how we would be allocating.
Yeah, we can do it that, right, so that was my question
Okay,
last time.
I'll
I
withdraw.
don't think we ever clarified.
I'll withdraw.
Okay.
Appointed as an
Yeah.
interim.
Okay, all right, so then I'm gonna make a motion to pay Dave Brown $3,500 for his services.
For the 2022 county pilot billing?
What's that?
For the
Oh, for the-
2022 pilot billing?
Correct, okay. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second by member Lee Master. Lisa, can you take the roll, please?
Member Gitzani,
Yes.
member Lee Master,
Yes,
member Reno,
Yes.
member Ruda,
Yes.
member Tadaro,
Yes.
Chair Fedoli.
Yes. Okay, now is that, Jennifer, is that all squared up then for that?
Yes, sir.
That's everything from that line, we're done?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. All right, current business.
My salary,
Yeah.
What's that?
mine.
Didn't they do you at 75?
No, that's secretarial,
Okay,
We still have to talk about it.
I
the
agree.
pilot billing.
okay. That's
So-
down. Okay.
So what do
I'm sorry.
what do we need to set here?
The salary for the billing, the
For
pilot.
the billing, okay,
For my portion.
Okay.
Dave does the calculations,
right,
but I do everything else.
okay.
So we just raised the salary from 5,000 to 7,500 for the extra work that she's taking on. And now you want to raise another salary and add a stipend on top of that?
That's what it was last year. She got
That
$7,500.
one position, there's two positions actually she's doing. The secretarial, which is this, and then the billing, which is, pilot billing, which is a separate issue.
And what did we pay, who did the pilot billing last year? Was it the
Pam and
CFO?
Cindy.
Pam-
It was
Pam and-
split between the two of them.
Right, does anybody know what the breakdown of that was?
Cindy was getting about 1,500.
Okay.
And the CFO got the balance.
Okay, so,
But I don't know how much who is doing what.
I don't
Okay.
think we have enough information to make a decision. right
so
I think we do.
Yeah,
Because I did
right,
a
if
lot
we-
of work this last month.
if we did, if she was getting $1,500 for that, then why don't we set, is that okay, Lisa, to pay you
Yeah.
that? $1,500 for the pilot billing?
Yeah,
Because
that's,
if that's what Cindy was getting last year, why don't we just keep it the same?
I don't know what Cindy was getting last year because I don't have any numbers in front of me.
Those were the numbers that were given to me off the, what is it, that one report that we put in, the Paris.
Okay,
Those numbers were somewhere in the Paris, I guess.
Without data, I'm going to be voting no on this because I don't have enough
Yeah,
information
we're
to
flying
make a
blind here.
decision.
Do we have any minutes at all from
The
prior?
2021 budget would be on the website, or should be on the website.
right,
I
but
don't
it
think
doesn't
it's-
break down who got what, right, that's the issue here.
We would just have a big number that said,
well, it's that resolution that the town board passes that stipulated Cindy's name and Pam's name and what they got for billing and secretarial for the IDA.
But the staff for the IDA should be paid for by directly from the IDA, not from the town. They're separate entities.
Well, that I agree, but that's how they calculated what they got, was the
But
town
it's
board
not-
did the resolution.
It's not the town board's business what
Okay, so
IDA
can-
employees are paid.
Where do we find that information so that we can clarify this, and then we can at least maybe settle it up next week when we have the special meeting, so we don't wait?
Checks that were, it should be in the monthly financial reports, because that should have shown every check that was issued.
Okay. So can we get that, so we can make this decision?
Sure. Pam should have turned that.
I am not the CFO, I don't know where that
Right.
is.
I
It's
don't know
all
what
in boxes.
information Pam's turned over and
Right, we
hasn't turned
haven't
over
gotten
at
much
this
from her
time.
except a
Yeah,
pile, a
there's-
box of papers.
And I
did they get a
don't,
box of papers?
That's about it, a big pile of,
Oh, that's good to know.
yeah.
and the
But-
information exists, it's just a matter of locating it and going through it. And I don't know if the monthly financials are on the IDA website.
Right. Okay, so let's table this then until that special meeting next week, and then we'll find out what that number was before that meeting next week.
On the question,
Yep.
who has spoken to the past CFO on this board? Anyone?
Nobody on the board.
So there is some responsibility on her to get that information to this board. It's not our job to go searching for it. Those are public officials that sat on this board. They left us with no information, financial information. I suggest that we do something about that.
Okay.
I don't know what the
She-
parameters are for that.
She was sent a letter to turn everything over.
We don't have it, so
Do
with.
we know we don't have it?
Right, we don't know, we don't have it yet. We haven't, Lisa, can you check those boxes that you brought over and see if we can find anything in there, the financial reports in there?
I can check, I don't know what
Okay.
I'm looking for.
And if we don't locate it, then can you draft up a letter for me and I'll sign it and we'll send it there because we need this information
Right,
for
it
next
was
week's meeting.
requested by letter once.
Right, and we'll just
Send it.
follow it up with a secondary meeting, a secondary letter saying we asked you for this information. And be specific though with this. So this is something that we need to know what this pay was so that we can get that exact information. And I don't see why she shouldn't provide
Well,
it.
Dino, I guess what I was saying is, I would suggest that a timely and a right handover of information from one administration to the next, or a board member to the next, should just to be expected. So,
Right, we did get a big box of stuff, we just don't,
now, how about an explanation of what's in the box? okay? Because you hand over something in hieroglyphics, how are we supposed to figure it out?
I understand that. The problem
Okay.
is they're not cooperating with us until, the other day was the first time they ever even returned Lisa's calls or emails. It was after the board meeting Monday night.
So my question is, there's some pressure or leverage that should be applied to get that done? That I mean, this is an operation, we can't do anything. We're dead in the water here without numbers.
Did the town board address the matter at its meeting on Monday?
The resolution was pulled.
Okay.
The resolution was pulled, trying to think, I know Bob Leary called me Monday night or Tuesday, and there was a direct resolution to address this issue, and ultimately, for some reason, it was pulled.
Okay.
And I don't know why, but Supervisor Ruffino thought that this was not the appropriate place to address this. And then, since then, though, Lisa, I believe you have had conversations with Pam.
What's going on now is the billing has gone out. It was calculated by Dave Brown, but there was an error, so the bills went out. Monday, there was an error found, we had to send them again. So when we sent the bills out the second time, that's when Pam and I started talking, and the deposits for the bills have to go into the town's general fund. So now all she's really doing for me is taking the payments and depositing them into the general fund. She's not calculating anything, she's not,
Right,
you know,
she's just going to-
I'm logging that I got them, and I give them to her because she has to pay the county taxes with them.
Okay, so she is cooperating now, though, at least after Monday's board meeting. In other
Yeah.
words, because that was the first conversation
Yes.
you had with her. So she was not cooperating until that resolution was put on the board. So I want to assume or believe that she'll continue to cooperate. So,
As the clock runs, this board needs to operate, so.
right, so we need to get that information ASAP. Okay, so,
I mean, I don't believe it's up to, I mean, it shouldn't be put all on your shoulders. But at some point, we need that information, and it needs to be disseminated so we can understand what we're doing, especially the financial reports.
Did she turn over any CDs or thumb drives or anything with the electronic stuff?
She did give me a thumb drive.
Okay.
But a lot of that was the spreadsheets from the billing.
I would think the financial reports might be on a spreadsheet.
I can double check, but
okay, and if they're not, can you draft up a letter for me to specifically demand those documents? Or
Yeah.
those, right, because we need that.
Second letter? Mhm.
Yeah, okay,
So the man that we proposed to do the new CFO work needs to get his head into those papers as soon as possible.
yeah,
Right?
right.
Okay.
We'll have our meeting after Thursday.
Yeah, right,
He
as
can
soon as
go
we,
up and
yeah,
get
we'll
the
hit the
box
ground running as soon as we
start
get him
digging.
appointed and get going,
So
so.
I would be assured that you are going to get paid. And we're going to pay everybody here like they should be paid
Yeah.
properly, okay? But without those numbers, it's pretty hard to move ahead.
Right, I agree. Okay. All right. Then we'll do that. We'll address that at the next meeting then as well. Okay, now can we move on, Jen?
Just-
Okay. Current business, set agenda, submission deadline. What is this typically, Jennifer? What do we,
Last fall, the governor enacted a new law requiring that every municipality, every public agency, including IDAs, have their agendas, as well as every item to be discussed on the agenda, posted on their website no less than 24 hours prior to the meeting.
okay,
So the agendas at least have to go out to the board members before that. I mean, how much time would everyone like to see those? Most agencies set a deadline of a week before the meeting for agenda items to be submitted to allow myself to finish drafting anything that needs to be drafted, to allow Lisa to get the physical
Right.
agenda together and then set out.
okay, so is 3 days enough for that? Should we set it for 3 days? Or do you want more time?
Usually it's closer to five
Okay, okay.
five business days.
Trying to run a tight ship here.
I know.
No, it's fine, that's fine. If you think 5 days is good, that's good.
So the timeline of that, because we're getting our agendas late, and I know that that's something that we're going to work on, but if the public is going to get them the day before, we should be getting them.
Right, to allow all of you time to
Right.
prepare as well and to review everything. Right.
Right.
So if we set the agenda deadline, say Monday at 3,
but the agenda isn't all the paperwork. It's just what's going to be on the meeting.
correct. But now you have to post the agenda and all of the backup stuff on the website.
What backup stuff?
everything that you're talking about. For example, if we're going to be approving a new project, that has to be posted, the whole application.
The whole application has to be.
Yeah, sure.
So
Okay,
it
so-
is a bit of work once the agenda items are set to put it all together, scan it, post it, and mail it out to everybody.
I mean, the week for submission seems to make sense, that if we could get everything put together by the Monday, if we could have things by Wednesday, so that we have a few days to review.
Right. But that gives, if anything's on the agenda I didn't know about, that gives me a day
Right.
to put
Right,
it together.
So-
Which in some cases might be a stretch.
Right, so why don't we back it up to Monday then, like you said? Is that,
It'd be 7.
7.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
okay. Is that enough time? Okay.
In most cases, it'll be just fine.
All right, so then let's set it for that then. Do I have to make a motion to accept that, or
Yep, to set the deadline, yes.
to set the deadline for 7 days? Okay,
Which would then be Friday at 3?
correct.
Okay.
Okay, I'll make a motion for that. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second by Member Ruda. Lisa, can I get the roll, please?
Member Gitzani,
Yes.
Member Master,
Yes.
Member Reno,
Yes.
Member Ruda,
Yes.
Member Tadaro,
Yes.
Member, Chair Fedoli.
Yes.
Lisa, did you want to ask? about the
Okay.
language, mailed or emailed?
Hold on. So we're gonna have the cutoff for things to be put on the agenda the week before.
Correct. The Friday before at 3 PM.
Okay.
And then is there an expectation, or do we need to set that we would be receiving them? Can we just make it clear that we'll get more than a day?
Right.
Yeah, I think we said by Wednesday, right? We would have them? Yeah.
Is that good?
I think Lisa had a question as to whether you wanted your packages snail mailed to you or emailed to you.
Digital.
Email's fine,
Scan and send.
right?
It's already scanned.
Yeah.
Right, and it has to be scanned to go on the website, so that's already.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. Okay, next order of business is just Pam Cuviello's resignation letter. I have that here, dated January 18th, 2022. Lancaster Industrial Development Agency Board members, Lisa Braun, Secretary. Oh, wait, I'm sorry, that's not the right one. Wait. Oh, yeah, okay. Is this, thank you for your consideration. However, I'm no longer interested in the position of CFO for the LIDA. Pam Cuviello. Is that officially her resignation letter?
Yeah, that's,
I thought it was, I was looking at another, I was thinking of that other
Yep, receiving file.
email. So, okay, so they appoint the new CFO, we have to hold off?
we have to
Wait,
accept
wait.
that.
Motion to
Oh, I'm
receive
sorry.
and file.
Motion to accept the letter.
Motion.
Motion made by Member Lee Master.
Second.
Second by Member Ruda. Lisa, please the roll.
Member Gitzani,
Yes.
Member Lee Master,
Yes.
Member Reno,
Yes.
Member Ruda,
Yes.
Member Tadaro,
Yes.
and Chair Fedoli.
Yes. Okay, so we need to table the appointment of the CFO.
Wait, some of the items are on here twice under.
Okay, so we don't
old business,
need to
new
do
business.
that
So was
again?
Taken care of.
Was that motion for both the CFO and the pilot billing, or was that just for CFO?
We tabled the CFO.
The resignation acceptance. I think it was just the CFO, because we have a
Single.
pilot
Right,
billing.
I think her
one
letter
also.
only said CFO.
We have
Yeah,
another letter?
correct. Good catch.
There's an email that she sent that's attached to.
Correct.
Oh, what, is that just the email?
Yes,
To read that, Lisa, unfortunately, I'll not be doing the pilot billing, that one?
yes.
Okay, so I'll read that into record as well. This is dated January 19th, Wednesday, January 19th, 2022. This is from Pam Cuviello. Lisa, unfortunately, I will not be doing the pilot billing, as that will be for the next person who has the position.
Motion to receive and file?
Motion to receive and file by Member Ruda, second by Member Reno. Lisa, please on the roll.
Member Gitzani,
Yes.
Member Lee Master,
Yes.
Member Reno,
Yes.
Member Ruda,
Yes.
Member Tadaro,
Yes.
Chair Fedoli.
Yes. Okay. Now we're going to table the, well, we're not going to do the CFO, we already did
We
that.
already did that.
Are we going to appoint the billing co-administrator at this time, or are we going to leave that out there until we
We already tabled that.
tabled? Okay, so we're going to leave that out there as well, okay. All right, so we have to adapt or draft the UTEP, which is the Universal
Today, we just need to review it.
Right.
And then we need to set a deadline, because we do have to send an official letter out to your taxing jurisdictions, so they have an opportunity and a deadline to return any comments they have to the board.
Okay.
So I would probably, if we can get that letter out, and I can help Lisa draft it next week, giving them until Wednesday before our next regular meeting to get their comments in.
Okay.
Most of them already attended the joint EC-IDA Zoom meeting.
Yes,
And
Kevin
should
and I-
not have any
Kevin,
further questions.
Dave and
But
myself.
we still have to, each individual agency has to give their taxing jurisdictions notice that they're considering this new UTEP.
Okay.
Give them a comment period, and then we could adopt it hopefully at our next meeting to be effective April 1st.
Okay.
There's comments to be made to that, though, on the UTEP report, okay? You now have to do, when I meet with a company, I have to do a determination scoring worksheet, okay? The changes that are being made, normally sometimes when we do a non-manufacturer or a warehouse, we do what we call the equivalent to the 45B. We're not gonna do that anymore. We're gonna do a 5-year pilot, a 7-year pilot, and a 10-year pilot. That's part of the new program. But the other one, and you attended the meeting, the Zoom meeting, along with 2 other board members, where we have to now determine the 5 and the 7 and the 10-year pilot, where we have requirements that I'm going to have to fill out when we do the application, which I will present to you at that same time. So that's how we're going to determine what the pilot is going to be. In other words, sales tax, mortgage recorded tax is done. But I think, do you have a sheet in front of you which is called the pilot determination scoring worksheet?
I don't think.
Yes.
I would like you to look at that today.
Page 3 of 5 of the packet.
Before you approve anything, and there's no problem, everybody's gonna go approve this, but I just want you to look at some of the extra things that we're gonna have to do, okay, when we're talking about, and later on, as I explained to Dino this morning, at the end of the meeting, I will talk about new companies that we're gonna be talking to in the last couple of weeks. But if you look at that worksheet, you can see that there's categories in there that the company's gonna have to check off.
Right.
Okay? And you can see what the requirements are for the 5-year pilot, the 7-year pilot, the 10-year pilot. And the only thing different that's happening on this UTEP report is that, along with the 5-year pilot. That's the new part of this. Everything else is almost identical. After 40-some years, I'm telling you, it is identical.
Right, they just said they cleaned up
But
some
you gotta remember,
language.
I'm gonna have to have the company do this worksheet with me there, present, so that I can determine back to you what pilot we're gonna determine.
And then the IDA board needs to go through this checklist
I
in the
accept.
minutes to show that you reviewed it.
Okay, right,
Right.
okay.
So that, you should look at that, okay? And just to tell you, does everybody see that in front of them? Does anybody have any questions on that? Okay, that's the UTEP.
No, I mean, there hasn't been a ton of time to review anything in the packet,
I
so.
can't hear you.
I said there hasn't been a lot of time to review anything in the packet, so I'm not gonna say I've reviewed it or have any questions, I probably will, but.
If you have questions, please, I've been on this committee since 2018. We were slowed and stopped due to the pandemic, but Paul and I are each happy to answer any questions that you have on it.
Great, thank you.
Let me explain something to you.
Sure.
For the last several years, this report has been anywhere from 15 to 17 pages long. They've been working on it for the last year or so. Now that report is down to 5 pages. So you can see all the requirements are in 5 pages rather than the other one. And so anything different that you would see is just that worksheet and the 5-year pilot.
Great.
So you will see that before you do any approvals. And then the next thing on the agenda is I'm going to be talking about the implant studies, which will show you why we have to do what we're doing, okay?
Thank you.
Is there any questions? You were there.
Yeah.
Dave was there, and so was,
Kevin.
and we had questions and so on and so forth. And all the other ideas, Jennifer, if I'm not mistaken, Clarence is ready to do it, Hamburg is gonna do it. The ECID is gonna do, we just got an email from John Capolino. I think they're gonna approve it in April. They're gonna
Correct.
bring it to their board in March and then approve in April. So it's something that we have to do.
Right, yeah.
Well,
Okay?
An IDA is required to have a uniform tax exemption policy. You do not have to go along with the other IDAs. You could adopt your own. You could have your own. You have to have a policy.
Right.
You don't have to go along with everyone else if you don't wish to do that.
In your opinion, though, isn't that
You
kind of
gotta-
wrong? That's-
You
isn't
gotta
that-
also remember, you can diversify. In other words, if we have a project that's got a little grayish to it, we will definitely look at that. We don't really have to zero in on that. So
Right.
if there's diversity, we can sort of talk about it.
And I
Okay?
think the IDAs have had the same policy, a group policy, since 2010? Or is it even before then, Paul? So we've been cooperating on this in 2010.
Right.
And you do have deviation rights if a special project comes to you. You don't always
Right.
have to follow this.
Right.
There are steps.
So there's wiggle room in there for us. if
Oh,
we need to.
there's definitely
Right,
wiggle room.
right. But it's something we have to do.
For instance,
no matter what.
when I give you new business, we're talking to two companies that are gonna be moving from Buffalo probably out to Lancaster. Well, we have to do what we call the intermunicipal move letter. Now, all that means is, we have to send a letter, Jennifer drafts the letter, to the chief operating of, well, like the supervisor of, say, of Chickawaga. She doesn't have the right to disapprove the project, we just have to notify her that there
Right.
is movement. That's part of that problem, we have to do that.
Right, that's always been there though, correct?
Yes.
Right.
Yep, but I just want the new board members to know
Yeah.
that. If we have a company moving from Buffalo to Lancaster, we have to do an intermunicipal move policy to the mayor of the city of Buffalo. Okay?
Okay. Thank you.
Any questions, I'd be happy to address them, because we've been
Okay.
working on this for over a year.
Okay, Paul, what about the,
Okay, here, let me read something to you again now, okay?
Yep, go
For
ahead.
years, we've always used, and I have a great relationship with the Amherst IDA, Dave Manjoya, and they did what we, and they used to charge us $250 to do, by state law, we have to do what we call implant studies. It shows the benefits that we're gonna be providing as an IDA, okay? Well, what has happened, the company that was doing that didn't want to do it anymore. So I'm just gonna read something real quick to you. Enclosed is a copy of a recent cost-benefit run with the new software provided by MRB Group. The two documents are the board report and input sheets that model uses to make calculations. This puts Clarence and Lancaster in a situation where each has to decide how it wants to proceed with cost-benefit processing and complying with the law. Each has the option of obligation of buying the software from MRB and assigning staff to do it. And then I'm going to answer that question, okay? We can continue to do it at a cost when it's currently done. In each case, each IDA must pay the annual $1,000 fee regardless of whether or not you have a fee. So what we're, and Jennifer and I have talked at like, we do approximately, for the Lancaster IDA, anywhere between 7 to 10 implant studies a year, okay? And what we do is I meet with Dave and Joy, give them the application, Jennifer looks at it, and so on and so forth, and then we do what we call the implant study. And we get that to you before you approve a project. So what happens then is now what they're saying, they're not gonna do it anymore. So now what we have to do, and then Jen can answer the question legally, we have to pay this new company $1,000. Dave and Joy has agreed to still do our implant studies for $250. So in other words, it's gonna cost us $1,000 a year to sign on with this MRB, okay? Dave has agreed to do our implant studies, all right, so that it's gonna cost us $1,000 to do it. I'm recommending that we still use Dave and Joy to do the implant studies, because if not, we're gonna have somebody like this board or somebody in this to do implant studies, and we don't have the capability to do that.
okay, so let me just.
Go ahead, Jen.
Let me, hold on one second before you,
Go ahead.
let me back up there, Paul.
Go ahead.
So what you're saying is we have to pay the $1,000 for the software,
Yes.
Right,
and we still gonna pay Clarence, or Amherst to do each individual study.
exactly, $250.
Or you could have someone on your staff who can run those yourself.
Right, which
The
is
issue-
probably not worth it, I'm
The
guessing.
issue with having Amherst, the company that used to do the software is gone, they went out of business.
Right.
That they're forcing us to change. The only new company doing it, it's $1,000 annual fee.
Okay.
Plus, if we're going to hire out someone else to do it, you're going to have to create your own Lancaster IDA account on the software. If you hire Amherst to do it, you're going to have to share your login information with them to run through your account.
We have copies of the new report, it's called the executive summary. This is what this MRB will give to us, okay?
Right.
But David will do that.
Okay.
My recommendation is, I don't know if we have anybody here that would do implant studies. So
I think it's probably
for the
better to do it with
$1,000
Amherst.
more a year, okay, we're paying the 250, we approximately do anywhere from 7 to 10 implants. I'm recommending that we pay the $1,000 and still give, and let Dave Majoya or the Amherst IDA do the implants.
Either way, you have to pay the $1,000 fee. It's a licensing fee for the software, so do it
Right.
yourself or you do it with them, it's over.
Right, and then if, by the time we pay somebody to do it, it's not worth it.
Exactly
Right,
right.
so it's better to pay the $1,000 and continue to
And
pay
I've had several
Amherst.
meetings with Dave, and he's
Yeah.
already, he's given me everything that I need to have, and I'm recommending that we pay the 1,000 and still use
Okay.
the Amherst IDA.
Right.
Company that went out of business was bought by MRB, I'm assuming?
I'm going to guess so, I don't know
Okay,
that
so,
for sure.
go ahead, Jennifer.
There is a second option. Instead of buying your $1,000 license, you can pay the company directly, hourly, each time you call them for help or to run your reports.
Yeah, that-
I'm worried that could get out of hand and
Yeah.
and it
Yeah,
could
right, I would much
easily
rather
go
that
over
be a fixed
1,000.
cost, right.
But there is that second option.
Okay.
It's a
You know,
bit of a wild card.
It's not worth it.
No, I didn't think so either, but we have to, so do we have to approve this?
Yes.
We have to approve a motion to hire MRB and then to outsource
And
to.
now, okay, can that be one motion or?
And I-
You can do one motion.
And I have to inform Dave Majoya that he still would do in the implant studies for us.
Yeah,
I sit there with him and do them.
yeah, Dave's been helpful, obviously, they tried to help us with the
Well,
pilot bills.
just when we were doing the
you know.
pilots, I picked up the phone and David
Right.
did.
So,
Let Laura
yeah.
jump right in.
Okay, then I'll make a motion, so we can do it in one?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll make a motion then that we accept the, or hire the new company, pay the $1,000
And-
and continue to contract the Amherst IDA for the individual implant studies. Second by member Tadaro.
Under
Lisa?
the question, so that's coming from the professional services, other implant budget line, the 1,500? And then will it exceed that?
It depends on how many projects come in each
So
year.
eventually we'll have
So it
to
could-
move those budget lines too?
Right, it could very well exceed that.
I like that one. I like that one. That's
Okay,
And they wouldn't have known when they did last year's budget that this was coming. so.
Right.
surprise.
right. Okay,
So
We-
anything else? Any other questions?
So you've reviewed this contract and?
Yes.
No comments?
Yep.
Okay.
And I will send out and make sure we get one specific to us.
Okay,
You have to do a roll call?
yep. Okay, Lisa, on the roll, please.
Member Gitsani,
Yes.
Member Lee Master,
Yes.
Member Reno,
Yes.
Member Ruda,
Yes.
Member Tadaro.
Yes.
Chair Fedoli.
Yes.
And we missed, after review UTAP, we do need at some point, not today, to review our investment policy, our procurement policy, and the bylaws. Maybe that's something the governance committee should do first. I'm happy to meet with the governance committee and then report back to the board.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up at probably other business about adding a third member to governance so that we're in compliance with. It's confusing because the bylaws don't match the charter, but we're supposed to have 3 members of governance. We would need a third member, and once we have that set, I think it would make sense for that committee to take on those tasks.
Okay, and I'm happy to meet with that committee and start that review.
Great.
Okay.
I have a 20 to 30-minute presentation that I could give you all on IDA processes. I don't know if you want to table that to the next meeting because it is already 4:30.
Let's table it.
Sorry.
Yeah, okay,
I have copies of it I could hand out to you if you'd like to review it ahead of time.
Yeah, if you could do that,
I'll take
please.
that.
Okay.
And then,
I'll be prepared to do it in March. I do. We're only halfway through it.
We'll be waiting for you.
Okay.
Okay, so we're gonna table it. Member Reno wants to table
This is
that.
mine or jump the call?
Do you wanna make a motion to table it?
Sure, I'll make a motion to table that till
Okay.
March meeting.
Hold on one second for Lisa to,
Okay, so we're tabling Jen's.
Yep, I'm being tabled.
big table. There you go. Okay, can I get a second?
Second.
Second by member Tadaro. Lisa, on the roll, please.
Member Gitsani,
Yes.
Member Lee Master.
Yes.
Sorry. Member Reno,
Yes.
Member Ruda,
Yes.
Member Tadaro,
Yes.
Chair Fedoli.
Yes.
Dino, you made the motion for this, right?
No,
I
Oh, I'm sorry.
okay. And we have to pass the resolutions to approve Drescher and Malecki as the auditor.
Have you all seen their audit contract? And this contract does include the audit services at $4,200, assistance with the Paris reporting not to exceed $1,200, and then inputting the information to Paris not to exceed $2,900.
Okay.
Do we know what we paid them last year?
I don't have that with me.
Unfortunately, we don't have that.
I think it's a slight increase.
Yeah, I thought it was a little lower. I think it was within $300.
Right, I
Something
think
like
it's
that, if I remember
2 to 3%
correctly.
increase.
The 2021, it was an $8,300 audit fee, and then we're budgeted for $8,500 for this year.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, can I get a motion to, let's see, hold on 1 second.
I'll make a motion
Motion
to
to
approve
approve the-
Treasurer Malecki
Okay.
for the LIDA auditor.
All right,
Second it.
second, okay, motion by Member Ruda, second by Member Reno. Lisa, on the roll, please. Any
Member
questions?
Gitzani,
Yes.
Member Lee Master,
Yes,
Member Reno,
Yes.
Member Ruda,
Yes.
Member Tadaro,
Yes.
Chair Fedora.
Yes. Okay, the next one here is to extend the Dare Corporation inducement. Paul, you want to?
Right, I received an email from Dan Rowlands, the CFO of Dare Corporation. This is a huge project, 270,000 square foot building. It's just about complete, but they still need, because they want to do some landscaping work and so on and so forth. They're asking for a 6-month extension, which I have the ST60 and the ST123 in front of me. It expires on March the 8th of this year, and they're asking for a 6-month extension. I'm recommending that we give them a 6-month extension on that.
Okay.
And
Anybody
they're
have questions?
They're still waiting on their mortgage commitment to finish up the closing.
Which has nothing to do with this extension.
Okay, so that
The only
doesn't
question I
separate.
have is, sorry, is there anything that changed on the contract, just
No.
to verify?
No. All they're gonna do, Frank, is just gonna be doing, they needed just the landscaping material, but the building technically is complete.
Okay.
I think that the copy of the letter they sent in asking for the extension said it was...
I've got it right here in front of me,
Right,
if anybody wants to see it.
Okay,
But you are also extending the inducement to close and the sales tax,
okay,
because they haven't signed their closing documents yet.
okay. Any questions?
And by the way,
Motion to-
I talked to Dan Ronan, he's very, very happy with the Lancaster IDA.
Okay,
I'll make a motion to extend the Dare Corporation inducement until September 8th, 2020.
Thank you.
motion by Member Ruda. Can I
I'll
get a
second that.
Second by Member Tadaro. Lisa, on the roll, please.
Member Gitzani,
Yes.
Member Lee Master,
yes,
Member Reno,
Yes.
Member Ruda,
Yes.
Member Tadaro,
Yes.
Chair Fedora.
Yes. Okay, the next thing is to extend the AC Power project. Can you, Paul, you want to speak up on that at
I
all?
would rather have Jennifer do it because they're asking for a 2-month extension, but let me introduce 2 of the attorneys that are representing AC Power here this morning, this afternoon. If they have any questions, they're open to answer any questions that you have, and I'll have Jennifer to ask the reason why they're asking for the 2-week extension, because they're ready to close on this project, which is a huge project of a different type of a pilot, which is a 20-year pilot, and so on and so forth. So I'll have, legally, it's in the hands of the legals right now, and they're asking for a 2-week extension so they can close this pilot.
Right. This inducement expired on, as I reported at our last meeting on February 2nd. The Friday at 5 o'clock, before that date, they called and said they were going to try to close in 2 days. I told Dino that Monday morning. I didn't think they would pull it off, but they did. They were ready to close before the inducement expired. But Mr. LeMaster had some questions for them and asked that I not close, with the understanding that the board would vote on an extension to allow them to close so that his questions could be answered.
Okay.
my very first question would be, A, why did it take so long? And I believe when I talked to you that day, they didn't have their insurance in place?
Right, that was one of the items we were waiting for, is their insurance.
Did they get it by the
Every
second?
single item is in place and has been in place. We could have closed on the 2nd before the inducement expired. They amazes me.
No, the thing I've got with this was, the company was sold. Originally, it came in as a woman-owned business. They needed the IDA.
It wasn't approved that way, though. It wasn't approved as a woman-owned business.
That's
Am I
what the
correct?
documents say.
The application says that it is, that the owner of AC Power 14 was a
But
WMB.
we didn't approve it that way because of.
We don't,
women-
the IDA does not consider women or
Exactly.
minority-owned businesses in its
Yeah, we didn't
decisions.
approve it that way.
It's not a required consideration.
Well, at
It's a nice
that,
fact,
at
but
that
it's
point in
not-
time, no financing was available, and I'm gonna go by the public meeting from the town board. They never would answer a question as who was financing it until after they got the special use permit,
Okay.
and then they decided to tell everybody another company had bought them up. And like
And
I
I-
said, everybody was under the assumption that this was helping a woman-owned business.
And I can't speak as to any approvals by the town board. The town board is responsible for doing the environmental review, the planning, the zoning, making sure all of that happens. That is outside the IDA's jurisdiction. I do have copies of all the approvals from the town board, the special use permit, I have the seeker determination, and I have the DEC permit. So we know all of that was fully completed.
The DEC, all the cap and everything is in place,
The DEC has signed off on the project.
complete. Okay, I guess then I can't complain.
Right.
Again, if there's any questions from the attorneys, they'd be here, they'd be happy to address them.
Any questions, any other questions?
We're asking for.
There's really, it's already set to close, so all of this should have been done, I think, with the last administration, should have handled this differently myself. That's what I think. But let it go forward.
But it's not unusual that we just extended Derek. It's not unusual because of pandemic-related shipping delays and things that, most every agency is having lots of applicants come and ask for extensions. But they were ready, They amazingly, Karen she amazed me. They were ready to close by the 2nd.
Okay, any further questions? I guess you guys didn't get any questions any further. All right, so can I get a motion to extend?
Right. And we will close by the end of this month,
And we'll close by the end of this month, okay?
if not Monday or Tuesday.
All right,
I'm sorry, Jen, when do you want?
We'll probably close next week, to be
There
very
you go.
honest.
There you go, they're shaking their heads.
Make a motion to extend.
okay, motion by member Reno. If I get a second? I'll second it. And Lisa on the roll, please.
Member Gitzani?
Yes.
Member Lee Master?
No,
Member Reno?
Yes.
Member Ruda?
Yes.
Member Tadaro?
Yes.
Chair Fedoli?
Yes.
You
And
could
do
be
you know, I do have the
excused.
pages, the
I
closing
know you've been
documents.
sitting there
for you
quite a
to
while,
sign
but-
Signed today?
afterwards.
You are approved. And Jennifer will take over at that point.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to comment on new business if you're.
Hold on one second, we just gotta, okay, go ahead, if you have,
No, it's up to you, whatever you want to do.
go ahead, Paul.
Okay, just so that you know, I always inform the board of new companies that I've met. And just yesterday, I met with Robert James Sales. They put up that 100,000 square foot building on Walden and Pavement, and now they're gonna put an additional 50,000 square foot building. They're gonna give me the application probably Monday, so that'll be on the agenda probably for March. I'll have to check with Jennifer to make sure she got. We also met with a company, Lucas James, who bought the property on the corner of Pavement and Bowen, and where the old Desiderios used to be, and they're gonna put up what they call a mixed-use building on there. I'm waiting for the application to come. I just met with the attorneys yesterday, Donna Lessie. On Tuesday, I'm meeting again for the 7th time with Gunther Burkhart, his 80 acres of land on Broadway. Just put up another
luck there,
building.
Paul.
He's a great man, but we also met with DKM Sales, which is a company out of Buffalo that's going to be talking about a 40,000 square foot building on Commerce Drive, and then they're meeting with the architects of Cilio. I also met with Paul Fix, who is the owner of Classic Tube. I guess you know him, don't you, Frank, Classic Tube? I do. They are makers of all types of auto parts, and they're a worldwide company, am I correct in saying that? And they're gonna put in on about a 20,000 square foot facility, which is a manufacturer, and I'm waiting for that application also. And then the last one is the Babcock Warehouse, that's on Walden Avenue.
It's on Walden.
Jim Basil, the auto dealer, bought that, and they're talking to a manufacturing company moving out of Buffalo, and I met with them, and I gave them an application, and we're waiting for that application. So the Lancaster IDA, believe it or not, is probably busier than all of the other IDAs in the Western New York area because of what we had, David. Go ahead, David.
Paul, these new prospects here, they bring jobs, employment.
Yeah, but you see, you got to remember, the first criteria for an IDA is for investment into the area, okay? Jobs are part of it, but a lot of these jobs are retained jobs too. So that's part of it. I know job creation, job retention is always part of the package. You're absolutely right, David.
So you mentioned in the last meeting to look that we can try to entice specific.
I can't hear you, I'm sorry.
We were looking for specifics. One of the ones that's intrigued me since the beginning was the adaptive reuse, because we have 2 villages that could use that piece. So is there any way to start looking more towards the adaptive reuse piece of the IDA?
Which project are you talking about?
No, none of the projects there. Looking for projects that are more towards the adaptive reuse for the villages, the 2 villages, Depew and...
Like targeting the
Right, these are all warehouses on the outskirts. I'm looking for the villages as redeveloped
Well,
here.
if they come to me,
All right, I'm just saying, but if
You-
there's
you
an
are right,
opportunity, that would be, because there's not one going, but 2.
yeah, but you see, what you got to remember when you talk about adaptive reuse, if I don't know, Jen, help me out, but if it's not $300,000 or more, by the time we get through with benefits and payments and attorney fees and their attorney fees and bank fees, I usually shy away from anything below 300. But if it's just sales tax, say for 250, and I can determine that they have enough sales tax to make sure that they can take care of the fees and so on, with also making money. That's what we look at.
Don't forget that adaptive reuse can be demolishing a
Right.
dilapidated building and building something
Exactly.
beautiful in its place, so.
But I don't know of anything other than the village thing that we're doing with Tom Sweeney. That's adaptive reuse at that time, and it was how we did that. It was a historical site also, we made that determination, and we had to do a market study also. But you are right.
I agree with his focus on the 2 villages within this town.
But we.
And you can market- you can market
But
to
you know,
that.
maybe we should talk to Lynn and when, as the mayor of the village of Lancaster, maybe she said, maybe some companies come to her for her agenda, and then maybe I can just go to that company, okay? But it's gotta be at least substantial enough to make it worth their while.
I just, as you put it, the gray area, I don't want to be pushed out because
No,
that
no, go
is, that is the gray area. that
What's the
adaptive
gray
re-
area?
what we could do inside of the rules that are given to us for retail and
But
mixed
we can't do
use.
retail.
Well,
In limited circumstances,
in limited circumstances under that, the mix of
Well,
retail, which
yeah,
the
but-
the village is a retail, mixed use, restaurant, and that's, if the opportunity arises, we'd love to hear
But
those.
just keep this also in mind. Whenever you do a retail project, okay, the law reads that, for instance, the one for Lucas James, we have to make sure that it's a adaptive reuse, mixed use project. One third of that project, the dollar amount, has to go towards retail, if that's what he wants to do. But you gotta remember, whenever we do a retail project, you're gonna get abuse from the county executive. I'm gonna tell you right to your face, okay? You're gonna get abuse because he's gonna say, first of all, he doesn't want any local IDAs. Frank can probably speak to that. But the point is, what I'm saying to you is, if we do a restaurant, prepare to be attacked.
Okay.
but there are 2 exemptions. If it's a retail tourist exempt destination, like big draw, or if it's retail needed because it's an underdeveloped area, I mean, there's a little bit of wiggle room.
That's what I'm looking for. I shouldn't say that's what I'm looking for, but if the opportunity arises, please, even if it's small, it's always.
Yeah, but maybe we should reach out to Lynn, and maybe someday she can have something like, the Lancaster IDA can go speak before her board, and do things like that, and we'd be happy to do that.
Excellent.
We're not quarreling with you, what we're saying to you.
No, I agree.
It'll be a difficult thing to do.
I don't mind difficult.
So, but Lynn, I'd be happy to do that, to go to your town board someday, whatever you want.
Yeah, I think right now we're working through rezoning, so as we work through rezone, it would make sense
Sure.
to partner with Economic Development Committee and then,
She's definitely making the right strides. I'm watching it.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
great.
yeah,
But my question is, so 300,000, is that your mark 300
It's-
up?
it's-
I'd hate
it's-
to see somebody not even apply to try to do something nice in the village, because that number scares them, that they won't get
Well, the
help.
number would scare them, Frank, because of the fees.
I understand.
You gotta remember.
Let me just interject for a second too with this, all right? As Paul said, there's a little bit more to the equation than just being abused by the county executive, okay? When I was in this position 6-7 years ago, the county the county executive, they want, the ECIDA would like nothing more than to eliminate all the IDA boards, okay? It doesn't take much, but a state legislature and a state governor that doesn't like IDAs, right? As of now, Kathy Hochul has not indicated she wants to eliminate the IDAs, but that is a legitimate concern that at some point in time, if we pop our head up enough times, they're gonna lob it off.
And there's
right?
legislation out there right
Right, there's
now.
legislation that literally is in the state building, right, or in the state assembly or state senate right now.
Senator Scott.
What's that? Senator, okay, right, to eliminate us as a board, right? And then what would happen is, we turn all control over to the county IDA, and that they determine what projects we get, what they don't get, right? So we just gotta be careful. I'm not disagreeing with you, right? But, to build on Paul's point, we have to be conscious of what we do and make sure that we
Right.
dot all our i's and cross our t's, because there's gonna come a day that if we put a project out there that they don't like, they're gonna make a case for it and go to the governor and say, let's get rid of it. So we do not want to relinquish or lose the control.
I'll do my very best to keep you out of trouble.
You know, right, but we also, I know, Paul, and I don't know this for sure, we still pay, I know we used to pay Carl Calabrese, I know he's retired, right? But we used to pay a lobbying firm to lobby on our behalf.
Harry Pastel, that's another good one up there. There's a bunch. I enjoy the lights that go off as you're sitting in the lobby waiting.
So ultimately, we just gotta be conscious of that,
All right.
that's all, as a board,
I
we
was
don't
gonna
wanna
ask about the
put
lobby.
too many speculative projects out there, you know, not to say that we don't wanna take a look at things, but we do have to be conscious of the fact that they could, you know, three pen strokes, the state senate, the state assembly, and the governor, and this
Frank, in answer to your question of 300,000, you gotta remember, you got attorney fees, both our attorney, we got our 1% agency fee, we got their attorney fees, you got bank attorney fees, and so on and so forth. That's the reason why we don't hold 300. If somebody just wants to do sales tax for like 250 and they're willing to do it, why not? The point is, though, I like to keep that criteria of 300 to make sure that they get benefits out of us, not so much.
My question is,
Go ahead.
where can a smaller project like that, where
Mm-hmm.
we'd like to see it in the village, where can they go for help, other than this board?
They'd have to go, believe it or not, and I was the one that instituted way back when, they have the Regional Development, RDC Corporation, out of the ECID, that's a lending arm, and their interest rates are 4% fixed for 5 years, and that can be used for equipment and working capital.
Okay.
They'd have to go to that, and that's what we do, we refer them to them.
Okay.
They can't go to the state, because the state's gonna look at anything big. They don't, so they'd have to go to the ECIDA, and that's the only, well, Hamburg has a little fund, Clarence doesn't have any, we don't have any. Hamburg has a little fund, but other than that, there's no place else to
All
go.
right, well, that's fair enough, I just wanted, it's
Yeah, oh, yeah.
the way I look at it, you're not gonna get a big box retail to come into the village, and it'll destroy the whole feel,
Right,
the
we
way
don't
I
want
look
that
at it.
again.
It already did,
But-
that Big H already did once, Frank.
But I just wanna see that these people that wanna do something get some kind of guidance that will put them in the right spot.
Right.
That's all I'm asking.
That's why I'm strongly recommending that we meet with the Village of Lancaster's town board, if you would, and they can make it an open meeting, I don't care. And we can just talk about benefits.
I think it's great.
But we don't want to scare them, Frank, because
I want the
you
information
can't
out
scare
there.
them. Because if you tell them, you tell them attorney fees and bank fees and what's the interest rate on the banks, and like, for instance, we sell, big time, we sell that SBA 504 program, which is, I don't know if anybody knows that, it's called the 50-40-10 program, where the bank does 50%, the SBA 504 does 40%, and they only have to come up with 10% equity, but the 40% subordinates to the bank. And that interest rate between 10 to 20 years is below anywhere between 3.5% to 3% fixed for the term. So we sell that too, Frank. That's what we would do in regards to the
last 2
village.
years, the small
Go ahead.
business fear of the SBA has gone away.
You go, well, I'm
I
sorry?
think the fear of the SBA has gone away from the small business owner in the last 2 years with how steadily it was made to get things approved.
I talk to Frank Sorrentino, the administrator of the SBA, every day, okay, because we different projects. I could bring him here, and you could discuss and ask him, say, where is the, Frank knows him, and I know him very well. We could bring him here, and that answers to your question, say, what does the SBA do for the village? Now, let's just talk about the village, okay?
Right.
If the SBA says, okay, we've got a program for the village, then where is it?
That'd be a resource that I'd love to see
That guy is-
brought
Well, see,
to the
right,
chamber.
Frank, I don't even know if there is one, Frank, on the SBA for the village. I don't know
I
that,
bet you he would know.
huh?
Frank Sorrentino.
All right,
But
okay.
We're good.
that's
I
why,
just-
that's why I'm
That's
looking
good.
at Lynn. Maybe that's
You got
what we
it.
should do, you know, Grant, I really,
Yeah, no.
and I can appreciate where you're coming from, because you would, yeah, I don't know if, like, say, the village, Lynn, Jennifer, does the village of Hamburg do anything special?
Well, Hamburg has a land development corporation that does small business loans.
All right,
Okay, all right,
perfect. Just
okay.
So,
Excellent answer.
Those are great questions, Grant, but
Yep.
it's, sometimes your hands are tied.
got it.
All right. Okay.
I'm sorry,
That
Dino.
move on? Okay.
Yeah, I have a
Oh,
few
yeah, go
things.
What's that?
I'm sorry, I have a few things.
Okay. I promised everybody I'd try to get them out in an
I
hour.
know,
We're not,
I
it's
know.
not happening.
It'll be better next month. We need a motion to please name the Lancaster Bee as the official newspaper of the IDA. We missed that last month.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, motion by Member Reno,
Second.
second by Member Ruda. Can we have the roll, please, Lisa?
Member Gazzani,
Yes.
Member Lee Master,
Yes.
Member Reno.
Yes.
Member Ruda,
Yes.
Member Tadaro.
Yes.
Chair Fidoli.
Yes.
I'm watching for the nose.
And then
Bad publicity's coming, bad press is coming.
That's right.
at our last meeting, when we appointed the executive committee, that's Dino and Frank, and it also is automatically the
Deputy.
CEO. So Paul's automatically on that. It just wasn't shown in the minutes.
Okay,
And then the Finance and Audit Committee is Frank, David, and also, as chairman, you are automatically on that committee as well.
Okay.
And then as Lynn hinted earlier, we missed one member on the governance. That needs to be 3 members. So right now it's yourself, Dino, and Lynn. That needs a 3rd member.
okay. Anyone?
Oh, lots of hands. I'll take
Hey,
it.
Whatever. You want to put a lawmaker on?
Hey, I asked and nobody says anything. She smiles and everybody jumps in.
Well, it's how it is.
And that's why we're on the end.
Email me all this stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so who's in?
I'm willing to do it.
Okay.
If
Whatever
any-
you
We're gonna
email it to
point-
me, email it to me.
Go ahead, Frank.
Did you want, Grant, did you
No,
want?
no, no.
Please.
Sure.
The less times I have to
And my
fill out
kids did
forms, I'm
remember you.
good. I'm-
Okay. So do we have, I'll make a motion to add Member Tadaro to the list.
Second.
Second by Member Ruda. Lynn, or Lisa on the roll, please.
Member Gazzani,
Yes.
Member Lee Master,
Yes.
Member Reno.
Yes.
Member Ruda,
Yes.
Member Tadaro,
Abstain.
Oh, smart.
and Chair Fidoli.
Yes.
I have an update on all of my open projects. Would you like me to go through it or just email it to you all?
How many emails?
Email.
It'll take 5 minutes.
Could you go through it?
Go
Okay,
through it.
absolutely.
And-
So we have, your former attorney, Rich Grimm, still has 3 projects that he has not yet closed for you. There was a sales tax project to Salvatore's Properties. That inducement expired on January 8th. I asked him if it needs to be renewed. He did not respond. He says it's ready to close, just that the applicant has not yet paid agency or legal fees.
Okay.
Advanced Technologies expires on March 12th, so next month. He is pushing to get that closed. And then Glauber was a project, it actually expires today. He said that one's ready to close, just waiting on fees to be paid.
Okay.
So I will keep on him, and if we need to extend, we'll get extensions ready.
Just so that you know, I received on February the 1st another from Advanced Thermal to extend their sales tax again. I've been reluctant to do that because they want another 6 months, and this one's
Okay.
been going on since the year 2019. So I reached out to Rich Grimm, and there's the attorney by the name of, I talked to Pat, Chris Fatty, who's the attorney for Advanced Thermal, and I just said, we got to close this thing. I can't keep.
Yeah.
If not, I got to hit them with an additional fee. I'm just not about to extend it again. I mean, this is going on since 2019.
Okay.
I know I don't inform you guys, but
But
it's
I
here.
don't think the delay is on him, I think it's on the project applicants.
Okay.
Right.
So I'll keep on them. Then we have our GS project for Cemetery Road that we approved, that we changed the name last month. That's still waiting on financing. Derek, the one that we extended today, is looking to close in March. Again, they're waiting on their financing. Pavement Road Storage Project is just waiting on their financing. And
Excuse, can I interrupt you just a second? I talked to Jennifer. Under Ron Ruffino's regime, because of the Derrick manufacturing facility, normally we charge a 1% agency fee on what we bring a benefit to, okay, whatever the project is. It's a big project. It's $17 million or something. Ron Ruffino agreed, and we don't have it in writing or anything, but he agreed to only charge them 3/4 of 1% agency fee for that project, just so that you know that.
I don't find that in writing or
Yeah,
approved anywhere.
I do.
It's not in writing.
I remember it, because I was there.
Okay,
But
so,
is that's a legal contract as far as you're concerned?
Correct, normally when you reduce the fee, you would have put it in the resolution saying
Right.
that it was reduced.
Right.
And I have not seen anything that I found yet, unless Paul knows of something that I haven't come across yet on that.
what,
You can get, if you want, I can reach out to Ron and just have him write a letter saying that he did agree to a 3/4 of 1%, if that will suffice. I don't know that.
What basis would he have done that on? Would he have
Only
stand on
because it was
firm
such
ground?
it was such a big project of 17 million, and the fee would have been about $170-some thousand.
It was too much money for us to take.
This fee will be about 130, 140. You're gonna lose about $30,000-$40,000, and you're well you got a lot of money, okay? And to keep Derek from going to Texas, Houston, Texas, at that time, that's what happened.
If he used it as an incentive, maybe I could
Well,
understand
yeah.
they're all,
Well-
everything that I do is incentives,
that.
so.
No, not you, Paul. I'm talking about Mr. Ruffino.
right,
And they also did reduce the agency fee for the TOPS project last year, because it was an $80 million project. So there is precedence for it.
Right, sure,
But if you're
we've done
gonna
that
do it again,
before.
we should have it documented.
Right.
And-
Are we able to get a letter from Supervisor?
what?
Are we able to get a letter from Supervisor Ruffino so that we have something that could be in
Would you
writing?
want me to?
I think that would be great.
Yeah, I think
Or
we
maybe,
need
maybe, I don't want Dino to ask him, I think I should ask him,
Yep.
because I was there.
Sure.
And I would ask him just to write a letter saying, I agree to a 3/4 of 1%. That
Yeah,
would
unless we have
suffice,
something
Lynn,
to
is what I'm
cover
looking
ourselves
at.
with this,
Exactly, I just
right?
want that
Because you
record.
obviously don't want the business to feel like we reneged on them,
Right.
and, you know, at the same time, you know, it is, if it was promised, we should honor that, but we should have something that covers us.
I agree.
Say that it was agreed to by the previous.
You're still gonna get about 130-some thousand.
But yeah, and that's the
Yeah.
point, though, like I said,
Yeah.
we obviously have a lot of money in the account, I'm not worried that this is putting us behind, but we need to have something that just
Okay.
says that,
Would
right,
you,
we need
would
something.
you like me to reach out to Ron Ruffino?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, so we can have that in our records.
I
And
might
then
get hollered at with the,
I'll go with
Now,
you.
that's-
I'll go with you.
I could
Right,
take it.
take Dave with you, Dave will go with you.
No, no.
He'll-
the,
I'm a former West Sider, I can take it.
Might do a little more than holler. Okay, so now, is that all?
Nope, two more things.
Okay.
Plum Bottom Creek was approved for a $12 million project. They've closed or finished $3 million in construction. They're going to start phase 2. We do not need to reapprove phase 2 because they're still within their $12 million approval. So, and I did,
Who was it?
Plum Bottom Creek, Tom Sweeney?
Oh.
I spoke
well,
to him and he said-
Supposedly, he's sort of holding back now on phase 2, though.
Okay, but he doesn't need,
No, it's going through the process, it's gone to the planning commission, it's gone to the HPC, there are some requests by the HPC to see colors and whatnot, but the project is moving forward.
Yeah, but I heard, and again, this is conversations now, okay? His bank was Bank on Buffalo, am I correct? And they're sort of stalling a little bit, I don't know that, only because of if you look at the construction materials in the last couple of years, it's gone up a third. Now, his project originally was like 3.1 million, now it's like 3.5 million, so
His
we're
phase
working
2
with him.
has changed.
We're
He's
working with him as much
taking-
as we can.
Right, he's taking phase 1 and essentially mirroring it, but with the Cuba Creek Park abutting the backside, they're looking at the back facade as well as the front facade But it's still moving forward, and we expect it to be going through the approval process soon.
I know Tom is a very upfront guy. Whatever we can do, we'll.
Okay.
But you know what, Grant, I want to take time just to mention to you, maybe we should invite the SBA, Frank Sorrentino, who's the executive director, to this, and talk for 10 minutes, just to see what's out there.
Okay.
Frank and I know him personally, so we can take care of that, but maybe that's a good suggestion.
Absolutely.
But I'm suggesting that we do the village board thing, and maybe this board can.
He's a legend. He's been doing it so
Yeah.
long, the federal government
Probably since I
knows
was
my
born.
name.
He's
been there.
Frank's 88 years old.
And he's sharp.
Yeah, he's pretty sharp, man. He's got, how old is he
And
now,
he's-
Paul? He's gotta be,
Huh? He's 88 years old.
80, yeah, he's up there.
You're welcome.
All right, so go ahead.
Okay,
Jennifer.
so I am also working on Lisa to get the website, all the old policies removed. She started it, but been very busy with the pilot billing, so we'll work on that more next week. And as I think you all know, the Office of State Comptroller audited the IDA last year. We did submit a response and have cleaned up everything. The state has yet to submit their final exit letter to us. I did speak to the office, the State Comptroller's office. They had someone leave their office, so they're a little behind, but that letter should be coming hopefully by March, so I will keep on that. And then last fall, the agency authorized me to do an audit of all of the projects from 2013 through 2021. And I did that, and I gave a list of all the projects to Pam and Cindy, and they were supposed to follow through to make sure all of them actually closed and that the agency fees were received. They never finished. I don't know that they started that.
Okay,
There was some concerns that some projects may have fell through the
Did a good
cracks.
job too, by the way, Elise.
all right, so what's our recourse?
It would, someone needs to go through, I guess, the financial reports to match with the list I prepared of all approved projects to make sure that all of those fees and then closing documents came in.
Okay, so we need those financial reports, like we needed earlier.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Right, to go through
Go
and just
through
make
it.
sure everything
They
came
need
in.
to be
What committee would that fall
Right.
under?
Governance or finance and audit, probably finance and audit,
That's what I would think. So there's a
Yeah.
committee, just place that in committee.
right, just to make sure that everything did follow through and
Right.
happened and closed as it should have.
Okay, so how do we get this information?
Well, hopefully it's sitting in the boxes.
Okay.
And then it just needs to be sorted through and made sure
All right.
that it's all there, or on the thumb drive.
Right,
And then it just need to match my list of projects
okay.
to make sure the
So can you follow up with Lisa on that, to see if it's on there? If it's not, then we need to
Yeah.
track it down?
Correct.
So
Okay,
it's beyond the timeline at this point. Is there a new set timeline or just as soon as possible?
As soon as possible. Well, this was just a project that came to light after several mistakes were.
let me ask you a quick question about this. When was this given to them to do?
Probably September?
Were they paid for service?
No, it was not. It was part of their regular duties.
So what they were paid, they received pay that month.
Right, and I was
did not-
asked by the board to do my part of it.
Right,
That jump drive, hopefully it'd have a timeline if they received pay and we're doing nothing for that period of time.
right, yeah, because that's not right. I mean, this is, that they are shoving, kicking the can down the road. If they were already paid for services they were supposed to provide, and they didn't do that,
Right.
then we should
It needs to be looked at.
use that to leverage to get it done.
I do think that there is a best interest of this board to be moving forward, that we have committees in place, we're gaining traction, we're learning, and for us to just clean the slate and start and make sure that we're set. Like, if you're gonna try and require someone to do it who's no longer doing it, or you're gonna start challenging pay, like, I think that that is not the right route for this board. I think we have a good board sitting here with everyone invested, and we have an opportunity, and it's a great opportunity for this board to look at the projects on our own accord and see where they're at and move forward.
I don't disagree with you on that, but what I have a problem with is when we pay someone to do something, they don't do it. I'm not saying we have to sit here and hem and haw over a couple nickels or whatever, but at the end of the day, if they didn't provide us with this information, they didn't do their job, they received pay for that job. We don't just sweep it under the rug and say, well, let's just move forward. Well, we still have to clean it up, right? So
I kind of would side with Lynn here in that we have to move forward, but we need the information that those people left in a box, and we need it explained and disseminated so we can move forward. I understand where you're coming from, Dino. I have the same kind of feeling, but she's right.
Oh, yeah, and I'm not disagreeing with her that we need to move forward. I'm
I
not,
don't think
just to
we
be
should
clear,
go back,
but-
take money back from anybody. Let's get that information. Let's somehow work with those people to they disseminate the information that we properly can understand it and go forward, okay? It's just, this is like,
If I could, because I work for the town, and I also am here now, they wouldn't even respond to emails when I would ask for things.
Yes.
So it was pulling teeth for someone to just be able to say, I'm done, and leave everything unknown.
Yeah.
We had no CFO, we had no biller, I don't do the billing, I just got the payments. I am now getting the phone calls because the bills had to go out twice.
yeah, and I'm well aware of what happened.
But what I'm saying is, the problem is, there is no way to force their hand, but even the community is feeling the brunt of what they did, and that's not right either. Because now like I said, I got a phone call today, and I was asked to bring this up to all of your attention. The bills went out on the 8th. They were done, according to the previous CFO, they were done. She didn't mail them out. She didn't give me the spreadsheet. I didn't get what I needed. She could have just merged them and given them to me, and I could have mailed them out. She didn't do that. We spent weeks trying to figure out what this spreadsheet had on it and what we could merge and create. Then finally, Dino and Councilmember Leary said, okay, we're gonna tell them we want everything in a resolution. Well, then all of a sudden, I get a knock on my door. Hey, we have this disc and we have these, what are you looking for? What are you looking for? So they didn't even give me the deposit information for when the checks came in. So I had nothing. And again, I got a phone call and the gentleman is asking what happens with the fees because the corrected bills went out last Monday. So people are getting them now and they're due on the bill by the 15th. Are we gonna penalize them? I don't think so. I don't think that's right.
You have no legal right to
Right,
review.
we don't have, right,
No legal right to
unfortunately,
raise fees.
we don't have any legal standing.
That would
But
be up to the state legislature.
This is what I'm talking about, to my point before, is that there's been no cooperation from
And you
that
know, I
law.
know that, Dino.
Right,
I've
right.
talked about
So-
Leary all the time.
Yeah.
I do know the inside workings of this. Really
And it's not,
There's no leverage that we have other than get that information. Hopefully, the new CFO can get into it and get our facts and figures, and we can go forward.
No, but I think what they're saying is the county and the state are gonna charge them the interest if the payment's late. I threw something at Dino a couple of weeks ago, just food for thought, you're the attorney. This is if worse comes to worse, and we as an IDA still wanna look good, even though it wasn't really our fault due to circumstances, could they pay the bill if there's a small interest fee or whatever? They bring that bill to us and they cut checks for the difference?
We can't.
I don't think
Not
that.
by law.
You're limited as.
Well, that's why I'm asking.
You cannot do it. By law, you cannot do it.
Right.
Right.
So, yeah, this, like I said, they've put us in a bad situation here, and well, I know we have to clean it up, right? We certainly have to clean it up and get it moving
But
forward.
they should all have been expecting a pilot bill. I mean, it's not like it's a surprise when
Right.
it
No,
shows
no, I
up.
realize it, but it should go out at a reasonable time so they can get it into their accounting.
Right.
yeah, but Jen, they did get a pilot bill. And
Yes.
then 3 days later, they got another one. They're getting their pilot bill right now.
Right.
Their corrected one.
Right.
A lot of them paid it and are now getting one, and I'm getting a phone call.
Okay.
And that's why I was pretty adamant that,
The
you
new
know, this
ones-
is way above my pay grade.
the
I
new
did not
ones
do the
higher?
calculations. 61 bills went out.
Okay.
50 of them had to be corrected.
And then the new bills were for a higher amount?
Yes.
So,
What body above us governs what's going on here?
the state,
The state, right?
You're your own entity.
Town board.
right,
I'm
but,
only asking,
Right.
should we write a letter to the AG?
Now you're
know if we
putting,
wanna-
now you're
Not-
putting,
not-
right, I don't
you're
know if
putting a
we-
spotlight on yourself. then.
yeah,
I understand.
right. I know what you're saying,
The
Frank. I just
disservice
think
to the
that,
community is not good.
right.
So we have to figure something out.
Right, and I think that, I'm gonna circle back to Lynn's point now, that we do have to move forward.
Well, no, we're gonna
Right,
move forward,
right.
but we still need the data.
Right, we need this data, whatever, and I think, I wanna believe that after that resolution was going to get passed last Monday night, they kind of, that's why you got a knock on the door and said, how can I help you now? So I think if we request this information again, I think we're going to get that cooperation because they realize that we're not messing around.
The lawyer's gonna have a set date?
Yeah, well, we could just
Yeah,
receive.
but how is that gonna help the people with their tax, what am I telling people when they call?
Yeah, that's,
Wait, with what? We're on two different issues here. We're talking about the taxes, or are we talking about the, no, not the pilots, or are we talking about what we're asking for the financial statement so we can rectify those projects that
Okay, I think
Jennifer
she's
talked
talking about the pilots.
Yeah.
Right.
They have.
That's why I
to pay
said
by the
we're on
15th.
two topics here.
It's,
Okay.
right, their deadline to pay is the 15th.
Right.
It's the state legislature that sets the penalty and interest.
Yeah, we don't have a say in that.
We
Right,
haven't-
yeah.
It would take an act of the state legislature to change that or
Right,
to waive
and
those
that's not
fees.
gonna
So who sends the bills for the penalty?
If they don't pay, those usually go out, I think Pam used to do those, adding on the interest and penalties.
Well, I think
Well,
that,
do you have to carry that portion out of penalizing them? Why don't you just
yeah.
let them pay their
Say
bill
that.
and forget
Because
about any
because the
penalties?
money goes to the town and to the county, you can't.
So we've been pushed up against a deadline by Mr. Ruffino and the last CFO, okay? And they put us in a very tight spot.
Yeah.
And the only way out is hopefully Monday, we have a new CFO, and by Wednesday, I don't know how we're gonna get, they're gonna have to pay that bill. and
Well, I
we'll figure
think
something out.
ultimately, like Jennifer said though, to that point, people know their taxes are due on the 15th.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I don't anticipate a whole bunch of late.
Right.
I don't think people are gonna pay them late.
And as long as they're postmarked by the 15th.
Right.
So usually you wait 5 business days for the payments to come in.
Right.
And then we would start sending late notices.
Right.
But if they continue late on their taxes, you have the right to start recapture
Right,
proceedings. Make
yeah.
them pay it
Which I
back.
don't think they wanna do that. I don't think they want us to get it,
It's
right.
pretty rare.
Yeah.
And usually Paul and I get involved if they don't pay their pilot payments.
Right. So I think that,
They
like I
have a lot to
said,
lose and go back to the full tax rate
Right.
if they lose their benefits.
right, so I don't think they want that to happen.
Yeah.
They don't want to put up with me, David.
I do, Paul.
So.
When I call,
Okay, all right, so we need to get our hands on on that information for us to do the financial, so we can so we can reconcile with your projects that are out there.
Yeah.
So does that warrant a letter from me, or is that something that Lisa can just reach out to them
It
and
was
say?
already in the letter that you
Right?
sent them, asking
So
them to turn it
is
all over.
So then at this point in time, like I said, I want to believe after the last board meeting, they're cooperating. Okay, so Lisa, maybe just reach out to them, send her an email, send Pam an email and say, look, this is specific information we need for these
We
projects.
can coordinate
Yes.
a list together.
Right, okay, so that this way here,
bullet list.
right, and then if they don't respond, and then if we don't get something, then we'll
Yeah.
worry about the next step.
The next town board meeting is this coming week. I think they moved it.
Okay,
Yeah, I think,
We have
I
a
don't think it's 2 weeks, or it's 2 weeks from now, it's 3 weeks
Yeah.
from now. They moved to one meeting. I mean,
okay, so, yeah, so if we don't, I mean, like I said, I want to believe that after Councilmember Leary put that resolution forth, I think there's been a different level of cooperation, so I think we should get this information. Then if they don't, then we'll have to respond and figure out how to go from there. Okay,
Send that down to Frank, we get
Sure.
more stuff.
okay.
There it is, thank you.
All right, so now, we're good on that, Jennifer?
Yes.
Okay.
Now we
that's
can go
everything
back
you
to
had?
our agenda. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Next thing we have, Member Tony had given out these wonderful sleeping material books.
Those are nice.
Right? Go ahead, you want to say something, Gary?
No. If we need more, let me know, I'll get more.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
thank you.
For
Thank
next
you.
board too, when I go, let me know and I'll have them ready for the next group.
Oh,
The,
great.
the whole
Thank
book
you.
isn't about IDA, so it's like
No.
a third of it. So it's not so bad, and it's good to know.
So there's something to keep you awake in here?
Reference certain things.
All right. So now this next issue here, the refund, I did see the email on that.
Correct.
How do we address this?
I would think that Dave Brown should be doing the town's calculations. John at the county is doing the special district calculations, but we need somebody here to do the town and
You
town portion.
mean Pam? You said
Well-
Dave Brown.
Well, isn't he the one who's doing the pilot billings?
Okay, but this is a refund, correct?
Correct, under court order. But I
Okay.
would think, well, either Becky should be able to help in the assessor's office.
That's what I thought. That's how I read that,
Yeah,
but,
yeah. Somebody at the town needs to make these calculations and get them to John at county tax.
Okay, and we have limited time here, so,
My understanding is that Becky reached out to the former, not Cindy, but the secretary before her, and they were able to find the information, so I'm assuming it's already been taken care of.
okay, so we're not.
But I don't know about the calculations, because I saw the emails
Right,
going
because
back
the
and forth with Dave.
calculations need to be sent by someone at the town to John at county tax.
Okay, so what do we have to do as a board? Anything?
Find someone to do the calculations, but if it's under control, we should be okay.
I'll check with Becky, see if they sent it out.
Okay, all right, so then you can let us know then. If it's not, then we'll figure out what we have to do from there. Okay, and then if I have to reach out to Dave Brown, that's fine, you know, okay. Anything else? No?
No, I'm done before you hang up.
Sorry, guys, went a little longer.
I just wanted to comment that, thank you for sending out the link for the training. I'm signed up for the February 23rd. one.
Wonderful, wonderful.
And hopefully everyone else gets, I think we're in need of reading up and training and making sure that we understand all the responsibilities here. So there's 3 March dates that are still open for the ABO online board member training.
And everyone has to do their sexual harassment
Yes,
training
I-
too,
yeah,
within
I
30
got a
days of your
reminder on my
appointment,
phone.
please.
All right, I better get on that.
And I need the contact information from member Gazzani and Reno and
Yeah.
Sheriff Dover.
Good, okay. Anything else?
No.
Motion to adjourn?
One question, thanks. I know this is a little bit beyond the forum because they're a once-a-month meeting. Maybe I can just ask the question when you're all here rather than emailing you separately.
Sure, go ahead.
All right, thank you. AC Power LLC, what I'm looking at here is that they got, is it correct that they got 1.3 million in tax breaks to build?
I got it here if you want. It's a 20-year abatement.
Okay.
And they did not ask for any mortgage tax, so that is just sales tax exemptions, and then the pilot.
Okay. Now, I'm a little late on this one because when this project started, it would have been the last editor that was in charge of it. But from what I understand in the initial process, some of the panels were coming from a certain province in China. Those have been switched over to another, are they coming from another manufacturer?
We don't, this agency does not get involved with the building permit process, so we don't have that information.
Okay, fair enough. The company was acquired by Catalyze. Now with that, it says, now I know you said that part of the reason that they got some of the reason that they were approved wasn't because they were a female-led business. That
Correct.
wasn't, but it was in the documentation. So at the time when they made a resolution, so why do you think it was placed in the documentation if it wasn't done?
I wasn't the attorney at that time, so I didn't review the application.
I think ultimately, that's not this board's determination, that's not what we're,
not a-
that's not under our, right,
No, I agree.
right. So that's not something that we use to determine whether or not a company gets abatements.
Ultimately, it's on the top. Well, some of this, let's see here. And then one other, then I know you guys have been here forever, so, let's see, no. Is there anything, have you tried contacting Ron Rufino, or, by phone?
No, I have not.
Okay, that's fair. All right, fair enough. Just thought I'd see, so just the letter so far to establish the
Correct.
communication. Okay. And as far as the documents that were provided to you, there was no organization, there was no.
It was it was literally a box of files just thrown in there.
Just kind of jammed in, just kind of,
Right, there you go.
Robert James Sales says to me
fair enough.
that they got approved by the planning board.
That's it.
Okay,
Thank you guys.
all
I
right.
appreciate it. Fair
Okay,
enough.
now motion to
And then
adjourn.
they also.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Motion by,
They did the
member
secret for that whole
Reno?
45 acres.
Okay,
hold on a
Is that
second.
sufficient?
Okay,
I just need to see that seeker to make sure it was done. I mean, again, I
Second
didn't do
by
that first
member
project.
I know, that's when I'm gonna have to reach out to Rich Grimm, right?
Hold on one second.
Nope.
What do I do?
1 second, we're just gonna,
Okay.
yeah, okay.
Member Gazzani?
Yes.
Member Lee Master?
Yes.
Member Reno?
Yes.
Member Rudo?
Yes.
Ruda, sorry. Member Tadaro?
yes.
Chair Fadoli?
Yes. Thank you,
No,
everyone.
we're talking about AC power, Frank. That's what we're saying. And we're.
No, I understand, we're just trying to close.
No, but
There's a
we're.
couple more vowels and consonants.
No, they wanted to do a roll call.
Oh,
Don't
Yeah.
worry.
I hope you enjoy.
yeah, you emailed me all that stuff. I'll just help you out.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Yes, I hear you. I will.
Tell him I said hello.
I'm sorry. I gotta turn my camera off.
Thanks for doing the books. Sure. Oh, no problem.
I know.
You're interested? Okay, you mentioned it. Okay, I'll tell her and I'll put you in there.
Because they're saying they got to move for 3 phases. Now, this is phase 2. Should I go to the plan board?
Like I said, my big thing and everything in
How about the secret?
building it so that the next generation, next group, next people.
So if they have the secret from the first one,
As long as it covers this part, we're good.
how about the planning board thing?